Expect the unexpected. From outside the Big Brother house, I'm Julie Chen Moonves. Love one another. Good night. Big Brother alum, Tom Green.
Yes, that's right. We are here back on it on Super Mader Brothers podcasting for the year 2022. We got another season of Big Brother, and it's a celebrity edition, everybody. I'm Dave Mader, joined with co-host Jaemeel Robinson, here to break down this new cast for Big Brother Celebrity 3 here on this Sunday night, January 30th, right? Did I get that right? Yes.
It is the 30th.
Sunday, January 30th, 2022. Jaemeel, how are you on this fine evening?
I'm okay. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm here. I'm excited to talk about another season of Big Brother. As a student of the game, I'm always excited to see another version of this play out and to see how it's going to manifest in itself. And we're going to talk about this this new cast. It's been 2 years since we've had Big Brother Celebrity. It was kind of iffy if we were going to get a third season, but we are. And just to kind of give a little bit of an appetizer before Big Brother Canada 10 coming to us this spring.
Yes, that is very true. So let's see what offerings, what morsels we'll be able to get from this season.
Yeah. Sam saying, I feel like there's going to be a 12th house guest.
I'll reverse Scaramucci from last CBB.
Yeah.
The twist is he is not a fake house guest. He's a new house guest. He joins the cast.
Right. Maybe there's only 10 house guests, Sam, and one of them's a fake. We have to assume so.
Ooh.
Who is the fake house guest? And so we're getting into this. There was a lot of rumors about who was going to be in this cast or not. Neo was on the list, the singer Neo. Jeff was excited about that, but that didn't come to fruition. But one of the rumors I had heard that Teddy Mellencamp, the daughter of John Mellencamp, would be one of them, and that did prove to be true. Here on this Sunday night, January 30th, as far as I understand, these 11 house guests, celebrity house guests, are already in the Big Brother house, Jaemeel.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I have to assume that my video that I just watched, kind of recapping some strategy from each of the house guests, was filmed prior to this Thursday. But I don't think that it was done too early, which means, when was the cast announced officially?
Wednesday, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let's assume that the cast was already in sequester at that time period.
Right.
Okay. So let's say that interview possibly was done on a Monday. So it's going to be some interesting details that I found out concerning some of the house guests during this the US Today interview segment.
US Today.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about all of these contestants. Some of them I'm more familiar with than others. Some of them would qualify as celebrities in my book a little bit more than others. But that's the fun of this show. You're not gonna get like I don't know, Jennifer Lawrence or the big A-listers to come out. You're not gonna get George Clooney to come out for Celebrity Big Brother, I don't think, right?
Maybe one day, but it would be hard to win if you're an A-lister.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
We're not going to get Adam Sandler, but we are going to get Chris Kattan. So kind of the same?
Kind of the same. Well, one person has movies that make 30 million, have massive Netflix deals, and the other one is known for being Corky Romano.
Yeah, or one of the, if you want to talk about Night of the Roxbury,
yes,
and the I'm trying to remember what their family's name is in that movie. But I think, of the two brothers, Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan, who played the brothers in the Night at the Roxbury, Will Ferrell maybe more successful than Chris Kattan, but they were
slightly.
They all came from the same class, like the 90s SNL group. And that's where we're going to start tonight, guys, because we already did our draft. Jaemeel and I and 6 other individuals are part of a group where we draft each cast of Big Brother and Survivor, for that matter, on who we think are the winner picks when we see that cast come out, to see who's got the eye, who knows who's going to be the best. Or sometimes we just draft our favorites, who we want to root for. Everyone's got a different strategy.
So please enlighten us with what was yours. Was it column A or column B?
Oh, it was column B. It was definitely who I wanted, who I knew the best, and who I wanted to root for. So we're going to start off this draft podcast here, or I guess it's the draft review, because the draft has already taken place, everybody. So for your convenience, you don't have to wait in real time. But let's bring up our first pick overall. I had the first pick. It's random. We don't know who's going to get the first pick, but I ended up getting it.
Random.
And the first pick here is Chris Kattan by me. Do I know it's a silly pick? Kind of. Do I think he really can win this game? Probably not. But I only get one chance to pick him. I had the first pick, and none of the others were truly calling to me, so I took him. Chris Kattan, on the older end of this cast, he's kind of in the middle, actually. He's like the 4th oldest at 51 years old, actor and comedian, originally from Culver City, California, but as we mentioned, was part of the Saturday Night Live 90s / early 2000s group. Did number of different roles. I think he's most notably known for Mango, having played this particular maybe character, or the Night at the Roxbury, or some other roles he played. I think he's pretty funny. He didn't have as much success as some of those other groups like Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, and others. But Jaemeel, what are your thoughts on Chris Kattan?
I thought this was a horrible pick, honestly.
Well, clearly I'm admitting to as much, but what do you expect out of Chris as a player?
I don't expect much at all. I suspect he might accidentally win a competition or two. I don't think there's much in terms of strategy. I don't think there's much in terms of social game. I think he is a week 3 boot. If you
you're saying he's going out week 3.
Week 3.
Okay. The one so they all had to answer like a questionnaire that was published on parade.com. Things that what do you think would be or not? Like, he did mention that he was a little bit worried about the competitions. I don't know if you've heard about Chris Kattan's medical problems of the past, but he apparently injured his spine doing a skit on Saturday Night Live in like 2002, I think, or something like that. He had to have several spinal surgeries. He ended up suing NBC over it, because it was kind of a workplace injury, and so I think that's why he's alluding to that the physical challenges would likely be a challenge for him.
I don't think there's going to be that many physical competitions, just judging by the age of the group that we're dealing with here. I think there's going to be more on the carnival game aspect. We're going to see a lot of puzzles and a lot of maybe time sensitive judging type of situations. So I don't necessarily think that he's out of it just because of his physical limitations. I'm saying it because in terms of the individuals that we have in this group, even age-wise, I think he's on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of being able to compete.
But is he arguably maybe one of the most known people coming into this cast in terms of fame, notoriety?
I think he would be in the top 5.
Okay, top 5 out of 11 is not bad.
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Nope.
So that's Chris Kattan. His interview that I read didn't have a ton in it. He just says he's looking to have a good time. He's looking to be a social butterfly. And, and I think one of the other diagrams I had seen was that he really doesn't have any connections to these other cast members coming in, at least that we know of. So he's kind of a free agent. He could end up in an alliance, or he could be just sort of a fringe player. So
I think that he'll be part of an alliance, but he's going to be the expendable member pretty quickly, I think.
All right. So
one more thing. In terms of his Big Brother knowledge, he watched some, and obviously once he got casted, he started watching more. He would rather take an ally to the end than someone he can easily beat. Is another tidbit that he did provide.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think that I don't know. Like, I get that he's not necessarily on paper the most attractive player to draft or whatever, but just because I grew up, he's from my Saturday Night Live era. Like, and I think that is for everybody, whatever age you were, or whoever was on TV on that show when you were, I don't know, in your teenage years, mostly, I'd say, or even early 20s. I think tends to stick with you because everyone tells you the best cast was, whatever era. It was the Chris Farley era. It was the Dan Aykroyd era, whatever, Eddie Murphy, etc. But, Chris Kattan was like in Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon, and a lot of them were like the people I was watching in those late 90s. Sam says Chris is going to be a mid-game boot. He's, you said week 4. Sam also says he heard that there might be a tribute to Betty White and Bob Saget. Maybe, I don't know.
Either of them play? No, they didn't. So there shouldn't be. Why?
Is there a CBS connection?
Let's see. Golden Girls was on CBS, maybe,
and was Full House or America's Funniest Videos?
No, those were ABC shows because of TGIF.
Okay, yeah. So maybe it was sad that they died, and so did Meatloaf. Are they going to do a tribute for Meatloaf too? And then he's officially 18. That's happened.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Congratulations, you made it.
Are you legal to drink in Newfoundland though, Sam?
It's not 17? I thought it would have been 17.
I think a couple provinces are 18, and I think one is Quebec and the other is Manitoba. I don't think Newfoundland is one of them, but I could be mistaken. All right. So not only, Jaemeel, do we have a Chris in the house, but we have 2 Chris's, and at that we have 2 Chris K's. They have the same initials. Right. So this is going to get confusing. I have to imagine, like, in the house, they're going to have to assume their last names or some other nickname. But we usually don't. It's hard to predict.
Call him Mango.
Call him Mango. But the other Chris K is Chris Kirkpatrick, the least famous member, I'm saying it, of NSYNC.
That is true.
He is not Justin Timberlake. He is not Lance Bass. He is not Joey, whatever his name was. Fatone, yeah. And how many people in NSYNC? 4 or 5?
5, I think.
Yeah. So maybe he's like second most famous.
No.
Second least famous.
The other one, I think, had a singles album.
Yeah, so like when I see him here, okay, so the members of NSYNC: Justin Timberlake, Joey Fatone, Lance Bass, JC Chazes is the one we're missing.
JC
Chazet, is that how you say it?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not completely familiar with NSYNC. Of course, I know the hits and everything. But my wife Jane, who had the second pick, took Chris Kirkpatrick at number 2. She said I have to. That was
a good pick. I believe she made it was a good choice.
Right. Is this I don't know if you watched The Circle, Jaemeel, but I don't know if you knew that Lance Bass's like assistant or dog walker was part of The Circle and assumed his identity in like season 2 or 3.
I did not. I must have missed that.
Yeah. So I'm like, is this real? Is he really playing, or is it just Lance Bass's assistant as a catfish.
It's Chris Kirkpatrick. Chris, in his USA interview, went on about how big of a fan he is of Big Brother in general, and was spouting off a ton of information about previous house winners who he liked. He mentioned that he was a big fan of the Derricks and Xavier. He liked Ian. He liked Ian's energy, his geeky energy. So he's coming from a perspective of a lot of knowledge of the game. Plus, despite his age, I think he would still be in a decent amount of shape and have enough what's it called again? Not choreography skills, but being able to balance things and agility, I believe. So I think he was a decent pick. He'll be a social. He's famous, but not super famous. He'll be connected, but not super connected. I think he's a good choice.
Right. And so the one he might have connections with, I guess, is Toddrick Hall. Is that the one who is
Toddrick Hall? Yes.
Is the other one that I guess they have some kind of connection through Lance Bass, maybe potentially, or something like that. That was one diagram I saw. It said friends with Lance Bass, and it connected those two together. So they might have a pre-existing connection or at least familiarity with one another. And his parade.com interview that I read, it was, just he's looking to be a social butterfly. He's looking to make moves and things like that, but he's not. I think he, as a fan of the game, I think he's going to be more prepared than most. It will be interesting to see, I guess, if that makes him a target or not, how the other house guests will react to him. And what else can we say about?
I don't assume that people are going to target. He'll know well enough to kind of not spill too much in terms of letting everyone know that he's a fan of the game and has a good knowledge base from it. And who is really going to attack him for it unless they're well versed in Big Brother? And honestly, there's possibly one or two other people that have in-depth Big Brother, not just celebrity Big Brother knowledge. So I think he might be pretty safe.
Right. I like this pick. I think that he's an interesting player. He's kind of like, I guess he's the biggest fan that we've only talked about two so far, and they both named
Always the biggest fan.
Yeah. But he is the biggest fan, so that will either work for him. It's more likely to work for him than against him, in all likelihood. Will it get him the win? We'll see. But I think he's a good addition for this cast. Is there anything else about Chris Kirkpatrick that is worth noting?
No. When you have a season that has people who are celebrities and athlete celebrities, there's always the worry that, okay, we got to target the people who are the athletes. We got to target the people who are too famous. He's like, when you're a pop singer, you have to be able to nail the patterns down, be able to grasp that concept. And I think that he'll do well. I think he's a dark horse. He might be dominant, but he's smart enough to know exactly when he needs to be.
Yeah. I did mention this about the other Chris Kattan, but Chris Kirkpatrick, married with children. Celebrity Big Brother does not tend to bring out showmances or anything like that too much, but Chris Kattan is single and ready to mingle. So we'll see what that might play out between the two Chris's. But Jaemeel, you feel like Chris Kirkpatrick will go further than Chris Kattan?
By far, yes.
By far. You heard it here, people. You heard it here. Okay, so let's move on to number 3, because we got 11 to go through here, and we're going to talk about our third overall pick. It's another guy. Let's bring up his picture. That's not him. This is him, right? Toddrick Hall.
Oh Lord.
Now, now, Toddrick Hall, it says, is a singer, dancer, and YouTuber, Jaemeel. I'm not as familiar with him. He's one of the youngest members of this cast at 36. He's third youngest. But it's not exactly young. The youngest person on this cast is 28. And most of the cast is in their 40s. But he's younger than 40, from Plainview, Texas originally. Do you know of him?
No.
It says
No.
he's been a resident choreographer and occasional judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, so that would give him a connection with Ross Matthews, a former player and runner-up in Celebrity Big Brother.
American Idol, Greatest Dancer, the Masked Singer. Do you want me to detail his connections, his Big Brother connections?
Sure.
He is good friends with Tommy, famous Tommy, the dancer from New York, that played previously. He's also good friends with Frankie Grande.
Okay. He's also Hall is gay, has been out since he was 15 years old.
Yes. He is close with Tiffany and Shada as well. Has spent some time with the Cookout, post Cookout performance as well. And he was not a fan of Big Brother. He states was not a fan of Big Brother, but over the years, i.e. probably when he started connecting with people who were on the show, like Frankie Grande, he developed an interest in the show and has watched many a seasons.
Yeah, he said, I got advice from his good friend Tommy Bracco from BB21. You don't want to have any regrets, was the advice he was given. Yes. It's interesting too. Like we mentioned that there's two Chris's. There's also there's a Todd Rick and there's a Todd.
Yeah.
Like, at least it's a different name technically. But Jeff was the one who drafted Todrick Hall at number 3. I wish Jeff was here because I would love to ask him why he drafted Todrick Hall. Jeff has been pretty good at drafting winners, but I'm sure that he didn't know who this was before this.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be pretty difficult for him to do well on the show. Stating that his feelings about certain concepts. For example, he stated that he does not feel very comfortable around heterosexual men. It's been very difficult, and he feels very uncomfortable being around them in general.
He's around the most masculine of heterosexual men with Chris Kattan and Chris Kirkpatrick.
He stated that he's hoping for individuals in the industry that he can connect with, which I'm sure he will be connecting with Carson Creasley because he was on Queer Eye,
right?
Together, as well as I was looking through his discography and also his videography, and I don't really see anything regarding NSYNC, so I don't necessarily believe that he's had that connection as well, so they might not necessarily connect as simple as that, but he must be aware of Chris Kirkpatrick and his previous
like he's a bit younger than us, and I would have to imagine he knows NSYNC, whether he likes them or not. He's familiar with who NSYNC are. And interesting to see that the whole heterosexual men thing, there's of this cast among there's 11, I think there's 6 women, 5 men, and of the 5 men, no one here is like an aggro. There is no Mickey here. There is no Jack. There's no that kind of like a Cody Calafiore, right? Or I guess Ricky Williams.
Misha can be prickly.
Well, I guess no. Maybe I'm thinking maybe Lamar. I guess is that but we haven't got to Lamar yet.
Lamar has always been a pretty cool dude. He's not necessarily known for flipping off the hand. He's no meta world piece where he's known for like emotional range, I should say. So I don't think he's necessarily going to get that. And playing consistently in on a team for the Lakers, you do a lot of star, elbowing. So I don't necessarily think that Lamar is going to provide a vibe that might be super negative. Um, I'm interested, and I'm surprised he didn't bring it up. With his connection with the cookout, are we going to see a celebrity cookout possibly occur?
Yeah, so I hadn't brought it up yet, but with the casting, they did have the mandate to have half of them be Black, Indigenous, and/or people of color to try to increase that diversity among the reality TV casting. And we've seen this seen this theme since that kind of thing has been happening, whether it be Survivor or Big Brother or Big Brother Canada. Will the celebrities do something similar? I wouldn't rule it out.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's not going to happen. And if they attempt it, I think that there's individuals on that team that would absolutely sabotage it immediately. And
Like who?
Todd Bridges
specifically.
Todd
Bridges. Okay.
Right. And I also think Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom being in a position where he might curtail himself or like limit himself in the fairness of a group of individuals who might not necessarily pull their own weight, I think might not work for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could be quite right about that. We'll have to see. I'm always interested to see, like, once you get these people together, what will happen, what the chemistry will be. Before we move into number 4, question here from Sam. He's saying, Jaemeel, do you think the jury will be sequestered this season? Because in Big Brother celebrity seasons, juries usually are not sequestered.
Well, what I mean by sequester, I mean the period of time between when an interview like this happens and the cast gets released versus and the show starting. So, Dave, you were mentioning how you believe the show has already begun in terms of
I think they're already filming. Yes, absolutely.
Right. So, the interview that I saw was on the 27th, which would have been on the Wednesday, which was when the cast was revealed, right? Shortly after. So I have to assume that they did the video on a Monday, and then possibly on a Wednesday, they were already, they moved into the house just so that they have a week's full of content before the show starts. So that period of time, the Monday to the Wednesday, is what I'm talking about, not necessarily like they were in sequester for 2 weeks and they were in hotel rooms and they probably just went to, like, the interview was done at their own individual homes.
Yeah, but Sam's asking more about the jury specifically, and
when they get to that,
no, they won't sequester them.
No, I don't think so.
This is celebrity Big Brother.
Yeah,
this is no, it's different. Okay, so let's talk about number 4, taken by our friend Jen. Number 4 was Mariah. I think I'm saying her name right. Mariah Nagasu, a 28-year-old, the youngest person on the cast, an Olympic figure skater who competed for the United States. And Mariah, she seems sweet. She seems nice. I don't know what to expect out of her as a player at all. I don't know what to expect. I'm not familiar with her as an athlete. Have you heard of her before this, Jaemeel?
No. The only figures skaters I care about are Doug Dorsey, sorry. And Kate, what was it? Kate, I forget her last name. Those are the only 2 figure skaters I've ever cared about. She has, in her statement about if you've ever watched Big Brother, she said no. It would be playing in the background, and I was aware that it existed. But once I got casted, I started watching the show. So I appreciate her honesty.
Yeah.
In terms of it. She is another one of the individuals who who stated that she would take someone they can beat. She understands why one would throw a competition, but doesn't believe that she is wired in a way to do so. Like, she always knows she just loves the thrill of competing, that it would be hard to throw something.
Well,
So
it's interesting you say that, because in the interview I read with her, they say, what will the other house guests underestimate about you? And she goes, my knowledge of the game. Which, to your point, she said she's only been studying for like maybe a couple of weeks, months at most.
maybe she's done a great job. She did a good cram session.
She crammed,
Yeah.
like exams.
Let's be honest with ourselves here. Celebrity Big Brother is not like preparing for Big Brother, right? Proper, where it's like, well, on day 46 they're gonna have this competition, and we need to make sure that we're studying on this, and I have to get my days right. It isn't along those lines. So I don't think she's underestimated the Big Brother experience, because she knows she's getting the Celebrity Big Brother experience.
Right. Well, she says, I'm not a celebrity. When I get in the house, I'm just going to be looking to connect with people. I think that could be a mistake, because celebrities like to remember that they are celebrities, typically. It's been my observation of watching these first 2 seasons.
Yes, but at the same time, celebrities, especially a lot of the reality TV celebrities that we have featured here, like expressing their celebrity onto others, and for people to gush on them being a celebrity still. Like, oh my gosh, it's person from Housewives. Man, I've seen all the episodes. And she's like, oh, well,
Well, who's Mariah? Who do you think she will gush over, if anybody, from the rest of the cast?
Concerning her age, probably Todd, not Todd Bridges.
Not Todd Hall, you mean?
Not Todd Hall. And no, Todd Hall, but not Todd Bridges. And probably
the only one who's even close to her in age is Cupcake, the UFC
I think
fighter.
Misha would be she, because Misha's one of those alpha females that has been, she really hit it big in terms of people who love athletic contests. She was one of the 2 top women fighters in the world just a couple of years ago, especially when UFC women's fighting really hit a fever pitch. So her being an athlete a couple of years younger, seeing someone kind of explode on the scene, headlining pay-per-views. Misha Cupcake, definitely.
Yeah. Like, I think she seems like she's just a really nice, earnest player. She says she gets into the car no problem without any paparazzi. She's here just to chill out. So I don't know. Like, I feel like she went high in this draft at 4, but she seems like maybe Jen knows her from watching figure skating and just wants her to root for her, much like I did with Chris Kattan. This isn't always about who's the best players on the board. It's just about who had that pick at that particular time and who was available. And so moving on into number 5, our 5th pick of this draft, and looking at the 5th member of this cast, we have Misha Cupcake Tate, a 35-year-old former UFC champion. I don't watch UFC, and so she is not necessarily on my radar, but she's from I guess Tacoma, Washington originally.
Yep.
Okay.
Is she well known? Yes, Misha Tate is well known.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure they all are in their respective fields. I'm not as familiar with her. I'm as familiar with her as I am with the Mariah, which is to say not at all, because I don't watch figure skating either.
Okay. Amongst many fight fans or competitive combat sports fans, as they typically say, she is well known. She is as well known at a time as much as Ronda Rousey, because her and Ronda were butting heads a lot They did a reality show called The Ultimate Fighter against each other, which was comedic gold.
Okay. So
Whereas,
she's just not quite as famous as Rhonda, but
well,
been
Rhonda kind of was the figurehead of that movement, and she was at a time her Lex Luthor.
okay. The
Right?
Lex Luthor to Ronda Rousey. I like that
Yes.
as an executive summary.
And just as Rhonda has a personality that was more straightforward, blunt, very focused, Misha came off a lot softer, more relatable. She came across as a more caring person than Rhonda. Even though people did like Rhonda, Misha was like the opposite of her, and that's why they couldn't really always get on common ground, because Rhonda took a lot of things seriously and Misha did not. So it isn't that Misha's just
Misha
yes.
Tate. Misha Tate was the first female coach on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
And that The Ultimate Fighter is a reality show.
Yes. So I think that Misha does have the tools in terms of being famous enough to be respected, being athletic enough still to be a challenge beast, and having a personality that I think is going to be very pliable in this kind of game.
What do you think is her personality like? Is she a friendly person? Is she a little bit more standoffish? I'm only going based on this headshot, and she
Not
looks a little
standoffish, not
No?
standoffish at all.
friendly, approachable.
I think that she will. I think that she'll be able to get along with a lot of the people, like with athletes, especially ones as regimented as a UFC fighter. Like, there's going to be common ground when it comes to Todd Bridges, to Lamar, and to Naran, I believe, because they're especially the two other sports stars are in sports that are very regimented, that you have to have a consistent regiment that's followed. Figure skating, you have to be on the rink, you know, early in the morning, and you have to get your practice time in. And Naran isn't, too long ago from that type of lifestyle, at the Olympics, right? Lamar is, yes, an older cat, but he was in professional basketball for almost like 18, 20 years if you include college. So that means early in the morning, practice, game time. So those habits are very hard to give up, and Misha is going to be in that same boat, because it's the same thing with UFC and competitive fighting.
Yeah, in her interview, like they said, what do you think some of the house guests might dislike about you? And she goes, how much space I take up in the gym. Like she's gonna be dominating that. Isn't the gym in the backyard?
Typically.
Yeah, there's a lot of space out there usually. But she's like, I'll show them, if people want to learn, some workout regimens or some tips, I'll help them out. And maybe they'll be looking for that. But she's afraid that they're going to overestimate her. She's citing the fact that athletes historically, in the two versions we've had of Celebrity Big Brother so far, have been voted off early because the other house guests say, well, I don't want to get to the end and lose to them in some kind of a challenge. So therefore, athletes like Lamar and Cupcake here, they might be targeted just based on that, whether the merits are there or not.
But at the same time, we have Ricky Williams, who did fairly well. Yes, he was the runner-up. He won the last two HOHs, but his ultimate problem was his prickly personality,
right?
Which she doesn't necessarily have. That she has better tools than he did.
Yeah. What is the genesis of the name Cupcake? I tried to look it up.
No clue. It makes no sense to me at all.
Her biography also says she's known as Takedown. Cupcake or Takedown are the two names.
You should take down Tate.
Takedown.
Both of them are still terrible.
I don't know. Maybe work on a new marketing slogan. But that's Misha Cupcake Tate. I'm interested to see what she brings to this. She's a mom. She's married, so she's not going to be hooking up with Chris Kattan, but we'll see. And then we come to number 6 in our draft, taken by. Oh, sorry, we did mention that Misha Tate was taken by Sean.
Yeah.
And so by Amanda, Jeff's fiance, and soon to be giving birth to my my niece, is, where is he? He's first in the order here. Carson Kressley. If you're familiar with the show Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, or the other Queer Eye derivatives and spin-offs and everything else, that's where Carson Kressley comes from. He is the oldest. No, he's the second oldest, I think. Second or third oldest. I'm sorry. He's the third oldest. 52 years old. He's a year older than Chris Kattan.
Yeah, right.
And so what do you know of Carson Kressley? I at least know his face, and I know Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I like
know his face. I love it. I cannot I cannot do an A&E biography on the man. I have seen some of his content, so I do know of him, but I cannot detail with supreme confidence and assurance about him and his accomplishments.
He loves being a contestant, Jaemeel. He has been on Celebrity Jeopardy. He has been on Dancing with the Stars. He's been a contestant on the new Celebrity Apprentice. I think that was the Arnold Schwarzenegger version. He was a celebrity contestant on the Australian version of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. He was a contestant on the season 11 of Worst Cooks in America, and appeared as a contestant on The Chase before doing this show. He was also a judge on Crowned, the Mother of All Pageants. He's been on RuPaul's Drag Race as a judge. So that maybe there's yet another connection with him and Todd Bridges, despite they're both gay, but like they also have the connection through the show. And he's been a judge on Freeform. Yeah, he's been Food Network, Barbecue Brawl. He's busy, Carson Kressley. He is active.
He is. Yeah. From Allentown, Pennsylvania. Fairly tall. He's 5'10", which is I would not have guessed it at all.
Right, but standing next to Lamar, I don't imagine he's going to look too impressive.
He was an athlete when he was younger. He was a World Cup saddle seat equestrian team and won a world championship in 2009.
In equestrian?
Equestrian.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
So he has it in him. He has it in him.
He's saying like, what are they not going to like about you potentially? He said he admits he's a little bit bossy. Whether it's what you should, what's best for you, what you should be eating, how you should be decorating the house, what you should be wearing. That's kind of his whole brand. That was kind of what the whole Queer Eye thing was about in the first place, right?
Yeah,
was like sort of like giving the makeover to the straight guys who didn't know how to have style. And so that's kind of like been his whole like thing for fame. But in his interview, he's mentioning that he's going to be the manipulator. He's going to try to be a conniving strategist and plot. He's going to be plotting things.
Yeah, that's not going to work, I think. Especially with someone who does not have that much knowledge about the game. He has watched episodes of Celebrity. What's his name? He was a huge fan of his friend, Ross. What's his name?
Ross Matthews.
Ross Matthews, who was a previous player. Yes, previous player, obviously. So, we're gonna see how.
Well, okay, so him and Todd Bridges, what do you think do you think that they will be an alliance, or do you think that they would be more likely to be against one another?
Not necessarily. I think it's one of those outlier, you do you, I do me, and we kind of meet in the middle kind of situation. I think they're going to be on opposite sides of the house, but working together. Because why would you work together with someone that you're so closely linked to, it would
Right.
seem kind of sus.
Could be like a
So
little bit like the cookout. Like we can never be seen together, guys. We can never meet in the same place, so we have to keep our distance, and we can never let people know we're working together.
well, and that's why the cookhouse was able to function for as long as it did, is because they never did group together so that people can kind of associate the individuals together as a unit and therefore a threat.
It also helps when you don't like each other.
True. That is
Like
always, which folks, like, the cookout was lightning in a bottle, right? You have to realize there was a lot of factors to make that work, because a lot of times it looked like it wasn't going to. And possibly if something was different, if Derek wasn't the way that he was, right, that team might not have worked.
Yeah, no, Derek is as buffoonish as he was in his play. Like the fact that he was so unlikable to a lot of the house members, the fact that he feuded with Tiffany and others so much, and that the rest of the house guests, like, there's no way that that's an alliance. They hate each other. They clearly hate each other. They're yelling at each other all the time. And I think that was kind of the brilliance of it. You're right, lightning in a bottle. Like,
Yeah.
And the only thing that kept it together was like sort of like this idea that they had to kind of do it for, I don't know, the culture, to sort of make history, whatever you want to say. To like that it was bigger than them, I guess, than their egos a little bit.
And Survivor showed us exactly how that could just fall apart, regardless of in the best interest of the individuals there. Like,
yeah,
they could have worked together and had a different outcome.
Right. And so like you got two gay guys in the house. Like it's not like it's 9-2, so they're not going to take over the whole house. But like it'd be interesting to see. Normally we only have one member of the LGBT community in a house, especially a cast this small. And now we have two, which I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out. And they have this connection. They have this RuPaul connection. So we'll see what they do or not, or who if they go elsewhere. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7th, and I can't believe this is your pick, Jaemeel.
It's my pick.
You had to wait all the way to 7 to pick. You took Lamar Odom, the famous for being the husband of Khloe Kardashian.
Wait, that's what he's famous for?
To me.
Okay.
Can you talk to me? You're more of a basketball fan than I am, certainly. Can you talk to me? I know he was a forward in the NBA, but
he was the 4th overall pick in the 1999 draft. He was drafted by the Clippers. He played for the Lakers, the Heat, the Mavericks, a variety of teams. He's a 2-time NBA champion, 6th man of the year. He had a very successful NBA career in the grand scheme of things, and he played in the Olympics, and he played in the FIBA World Champions. He is a basketball player, not an all-time great, but if he's in a room with other basketball players, he's typically in the top 2% of the best that is there in a room.
Interestingly, though, I'm just reading his biography. He's not a basketball Hall of Fame member.
He won't make the Hall of Fame. He won't.
Okay, so I'm more of a hockey guy, or even baseball more than basketball. And so he was a really good player, but not quite good enough to make the Hall of Fame. But a noteworthy player. And then he had the celebrity marriage to Khloe Kardashian but I believe that has recently broken up.
Yes, he's no longer with Khloe Kardashian.
But yeah, I feel like that was somewhat fresh, or I was just hearing about that in the news. I was watching maybe Entertainment Tonight or something like that, and his name came up that Khloe Kardashian was devastated because I guess he was cheating on her or something like that. And I'm interested, but as far as I understand, that they are no longer together.
Yes, and he engaged. He was engaged to a health and lifestyle coach named Sabrina Parr, but their engagement has been called off.
Okay. Did you know that he's also participated in celebrity boxing matches?
Yes, I've just
He fought Aaron Carter.
yes, come get it. He's 2-0, it seems. And
he also defeated Jennifer Lopez's one of her ex-husbands, Ojani Noah.
Yep, so he must still be in decent shape. He was in Dancing with the Stars, as well as a contestant. That was in 2009. That was 2 years ago, so not too long ago.
At number one, he was a Laker, like sort of at the height of like Kobe Bryant and Shaq's like dominance, right? Would you say that's fair?
Oh yeah, that I think that's a fair assessment in terms of
in terms of like, I guess maybe how he became as noteworthy as he is, because not all professional basketball players, married to Kardashians or not, would make this cast. But he is here. So Jaemeel, what are you excited about Lamar? How do you think he'll do as a Big Brother player?
Well, I was looking at last year and I saw how successful Ricky Williams was. Ricky Williams was the second most successful individual on that season. With 2 HOH wins and 1 veto, compared to the best person performance-wise, which was Tom, which had 2 HOH wins and 2 veto performances. So his age is similar to Ricky Williams, and I would say he would be in much better shape than Ricky Williams was at the same time. The thing that put him more in of a better position is his personality. It isn't as prickly as Ricky Williams would be. So therefore I thought, well, he has the upper leg in terms of the skill set to perform well. What I didn't know prior to today was his knowledge about Big Brother.
Lamar. Yeah. So yeah, he's only 42 going into this house, which was the same age that Ricky Williams was when he entered the house. So yet another parallel. But you got to think like, I at least assume that somebody who's been a professional athlete their whole life, like, yes, they've retired from the sport, but like unless they just let themselves go and they just stop training because they've been doing it forever. But like that they would come in and be good at certain things. Depends on what the competition is. If it's like a puzzle, then they're not going to really have any more advantage than anybody else. But if it's something where that has like cardio and even strength involved, that he would be that would work to his benefit, right?
Yeah. So, but in terms of his knowledge about Big Brother, he at the time of the interview, he said, I've never watched the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the concept. After this interview, I think I'm going to watch some episodes.
Well, talk about cramming, like unlike Mariah, who apparently just watched all the Big Brother as soon as she was cast. He was like, I kind of get it. Like, what do you
want? So he, was found. He had some drug problems a couple of years ago, about less than a decade. Near-death experiences that he's had. He's gonna run into issues with what's her name, Shahana, because, and we'll talk more about it with Shahana and her relationships with the Kardashians, not the Kardashians. Yeah. But I think that he is separated enough and has the life experiences that I think that he'll be able to blend well and enjoy the experience of this competition and the social gathering aspect of it, that I think he's going to do well. And that's why I chose him, especially with who was left in the game.
And like his parade.com interview was by far the briefest. Mm-hmm. Like his answers, like what he say, what will other house guests underestimate about you? He goes, that I'm a killer. What does that mean?
Like, he's competitive. He's super competitive.
I know, but it's just such a What will they underestimate you? That I'm going to murder them?
Yes.
You know, he goes, what do you want to get out of this playing Big Brother other than the win? Of course, he goes, maybe an endorsement. And then he's looking to be selfish. He goes, I've heard a lot of shady shit happens in the Big Brother house. I don't really take that too well to that. So he's going to be he'll be calling people out. He might make great TV. Lamar Odom.
I think you might.
We might be okay. You know, like I don't know. I don't think he's long for this game. I don't think he'll win this game. And if you hadn't drafted him here at 7, Jaemeel, I'm almost certain that Daryl would have. So you know, like at least you got that part. All right, let's move on to number 8. We're coming to I know we're spending more on some of these than others, but number 8 was another man. The women kind of ended out the draft here, but Todd Bridges, who is the actual oldest person in this house at 56. He is from the show Different Strokes.
You say that as a question. I love it.
I like Different Strokes.
Have you ever seen Different Strokes?
Like it was on when I was like 4. Like it's a long time ago. Different Strokes. It was on from 85 to 80. What does it say here? What's the years it was on? I guess it was season 1 through 7 were 78 to 85.
Yep. And then 85 to 86.
And then 85 to 86. Okay, so it's like when it ended, I was 3. So, and I don't remember seeing a lot of it on reruns ever or anything like that. So, but I remember liking the theme song.
Dun, 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 dun.
Or am I thinking of a different world?
No. The theme song, if my memory is correct, and I'm just double checking it to make sure that I'm correct in it. Hold on quickly. Yes, the theme song was created by Canadian Brampton's own Alan Thicke.
Oh, Alan Thicke. He made a lot of theme songs.
Yes, he did. The theme song. Let me hold on a second. Let's see if I can do a rendition of it.
Right. But what Jane explained to me, my wife, she said that when there's that guy who says, "What are you talking about, Willis?" That's Todd's character, Willis. So will somebody in the house say, "What are you talking about, Willis?"
It's definitely going to come up.
It's got to happen, right? At least once.
Even if it's just to like to the
riff on it.
Yeah,
right. I'm sure he's got that his whole life, or at least since 1986, 80 something or whatever. Yeah, when the show was at the height of its popularity. So Gary Coleman was Arnold Jackson and he was Willis Jackson. So yes. I'm assuming they were brothers of some kind.
Yes. So like they moved in with this rich dude who, looked after them. So he was taken in by Park Avenue.
I see. Okay. That was like what the show was about.
Yes. And then you had they had a housekeeper who looked after the two of them and the homeowner, and that housekeeper eventually became like the den mother for the Facts of Life. So Facts of Life spun off of Different Strokes.
Okay, Facts of Life is related to. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So yeah, I just not. It's a little bit before my time, and I never watched reruns of it.
And Alan Thicke had a hand in the Facts of Life theme as well.
Alan Thicke wrote some great theme songs.
He did.
And what was his show? Growing Pains.
Yeah, but he didn't do the theme song for that.
He didn't do the theme song.
that one he did not do.
That's weird. Okay, so let's talk about Todd Bridges, one of the two Todds, to go with our two Chris's. And so I like, as a celebrity, have you kept up with him since Different Strokes went off? Like, what's he been up to?
Everybody Loves Chris. He made some appearances on, and then he was on True TV's like World's Dumbest Drivers, I believe. That's practically it. He had a lot of drug issues and substance abuse issues that he dealt with throughout his life, but seemingly he's cleaned up. So it's good, it's good for him.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's
In his
see.
let's see what's going on in his Parade.com interview.
He's done a bunch of TV movies and straight to video stuff, obviously based upon his his past celebrity. It's not like he hasn't worked, right? He has worked as well, as he started doing some voiceovers in video games, which I think he might do better in. His last appearance on television that I remember was part of Live in Front of a Studio Audience, which is like
Okay.
an anthology series that happens every year, where they take an old script from a sitcom and they cast new actors in those roles. So he did the introduction for the Different Stroke segments. So Damon Wayans played his character.
Okay. Interesting on his interview here. He says, "What's the best advice you received?" He goes, "To be myself." And he goes, "What do you think the other house guests may dislike about you?" He says, "Being myself." It's funny. And then lastly, they asked him, "What do you hope to get out of your time in the Big Brother house, other than winning, of course?" And he goes, "A different part of my life." So that's an interesting answer. What is it? What's a different? He's looking to maybe have a new chapter at 56 here. This is the start of something new for him.
Well, you have to imagine, like, he's still the only person from that show, Different Strokes, still alive. Everyone
else is dead?
Dead. Everyone else. So Gary Coldman, Conrad Bain, Charlotte Ray is dead. Yeah, she died. 92. So and at the same time, think about, there's a level of celebrity that was from the 70s and 80s and even 90s that are able to have like a continuation of their career built upon people knowing them. And like, look at, for example, the Golden Girls.
Right.
There's a renaissance in terms of their popularity due to Nick at Night showing past episodes, and college students really grasping onto that Betty White had an extended career where she was able to do other things where she was Betty White. And if you're an actor like Todd Bridges, I bet the work that you're being optioned for are the crumbs, basically. And I bet he's not expecting to be an A-lister, but that Kathy Griffin,
Ross Matthews.
Yes, that D-lister that, like, hey, VH1 wants to do a segment on the 80s, and they're gonna decide to call upon you as opposed to calling upon, I don't know what the equivalent would be. Kim Fields, maybe, I guess.
Well, at the very least, like, coming on a show like this gives you a chance to connect with a whole new audience. Like I said, I never watched Different Strokes. I don't know this guy, or I have no there's no connection for me. Like unlike there was that one who was on the Cosby Show back in the day. Like I at least watched the Cosby
Jamal
Show.
Warner.
I know the girl who was on a couple seasons ago. She was one of the daughters. She played one of the daughters on the Cosby Show. She was a contestant.
Keisha Knight Pullman, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. And so in this case, like, yeah, like maybe I'll love Todd Bridges in this season, and maybe I'll follow him on his next project, or at least I'll notice him when he's on his next project. I think Ross Matthews wasn't necessarily doing great before Big Brother celebrity that he did, but then I think his career has actually picked up since then. So it can give like a little boost to your career if you're sort of not gonna make you an A-lister, to your point, but it might take you out of the D-list category, and maybe that's what Todd Bridges is looking for. But yeah, he says he's gonna be a social butterfly, and they also mentions that the other house guests don't know how smart he is. That's the part he's going to really unveil. Okay, let's get into our final three here. Moving on to Shanna Moakler. Which one is Shanna? Hold on.
She is a model, actress,
This one.
TV. She was on The Real Housewives. She was also Miss America, if I'm correct. She was a Miss USA. She was married to Travis Barker. Was hooked up with Oscar De La Hoya, and for a time, she was with Dennis Quaid.
She was also Playmate of the Month in December 2001.
Yes, as well.
She had a relationship with Billy Idol for a bunch of years.
Yes.
Oscar De La Hoya and Dennis Quaid.
Yes. She started her television career with appearances on Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman and Canadian content Due South.
There you go. Okay, so she's been busy. She's 46 years old, and I don't know what her current relationship status is. Is she single?
She's currently dating another gentleman. They've been recently linked. I don't know who this person was. Interviews I saw in addition to her USA interview.
Said she was in a relationship here for 5 years with a member of the Hells Angels.
Yes. That ended.
5 years.
5 years.
Wow.
She was with Oscar De La Hoya for a period of time and has a daughter, I believe, from him.
Okay. All right. So Shanna Moakler, she's coming in here. So what do you expect out of her? Like, what do you have any expectations? Any impressions so far? She was taken by Daryl at 9.
Yes. And this is where, looking up some research on her, there could be some issues. So Todd Baker, her previous Travis Baker, her previous ex, they broke up. Is now married to Khloe Kardashian, who is obviously Kourtney Kardashian's sister, who Lamar
Odom would have the connection. Yeah.
She does not have a good relationship with the Kardashians and has slandered them consistently on various news broadcasts and TMZ. So I don't know what Lamar's relationship is. I assume that it at least cordial because of his children. So there might be some butting of heads. She has an actual connection with Todd Bridges, which I know a lot of the elements was not aligning them to. They were both in a Pauly Shore movie called Pauly Shore is Dead. So they do have a connection. They do.
But the problem was he wasn't really dead.
He wasn't really dead. Well, that was the whole gist of the episode.
Yeah. She says, I'm not a dumb blonde stereotype. I can make that work in my favor. So she might play dumb, but she isn't one. She's an East Coast girl. She's told she's too loud, so she's going to try to work with that. So she's coming in with a big personality here, she's saying. And, that could be good. That could be at least good feeds and things like that. I'm curious to see who she allies with. Like, will she ally with Teddy or somebody like that? I don't know. Like somebody like her or somebody who's not like her, I guess,
we don't know. She can hook up with Lamar in terms of like teaming up because they both have Kardashian stories to tell, and they both appeared on Entourage, right?
Okay.
Like the loosest of connections possible.
The loosest of, yeah. Okay. So maybe she doesn't have a lot of connections coming in, or like you're saying, like maybe she'll try to warm up to Lamar, because even if it's like there's some friction there with, like, I guess the Kardashians and whatever, the fact that he's split up with them might or might not be a factor there. Okay. So I think that was very brief. We were on Shanna, but let's move on to number 10. Because I don't know what else to say about Shanna so far. Like her interview is very brief. Let's move on to number 10, which was Teddy Mellencamp.
Yes.
So Teddy Mellencamp is she's she's fourth youngest, actually. She's only 40 years old.
Yep.
She is the daughter of John Mellencamp, Hurts So Good, John Cougar Mellencamp,
Cougar.
if you will. She's been on. She's kind of her notability comes from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where she's been on like 67 episodes over there. She's done some Celebrity Family Feud and some other things, but she's always been herself. She's typically, I guess, something called Next Level, a movie called Next Level. She was in, directed by Aisa Goodman. I don't know. But our friend Amanda, she's saying that she's lots of drama. She's like, Amanda was saying she's going to make good feeds. And so Teddy was taken by Jaemeel, actually, with the second to last pick. It was you had the choice between Teddy and Cynthia at the end of the draft here. Why did you choose Teddy?
Teddy looked to be one that was possibly, I think she has enough connections in terms of being a Beverly Hills housewife. She's fairly new in the industry, only at 17. She has the past old Hollywood connection with her father. So like being around celebrities is a new hat, right?
She should be most comfortable of anybody.
Yes. But she's been in it / been away from it / back into it. So I think that she would be the most centered, down to earth. She isn't too old. She's 40. She seems reasonably someone that takes better care of themselves health wise. So I assume a certain level of athleticism. And interviews didn't really seem that she was too prickly. So in terms of what I had left, I thought that she made the most amount of sense.
Yeah. Okay. Like she seems like everything about her seems all right. Like in her interview, I'm not seeing any red flags. Like I'm a little bit surprised she didn't go a little earlier in our draft.
As am I.
Quite frankly, but I was too excited for Chris Kattan. So clearly that was blinding me. And she was saying she's going to go in and try to make real relationships, live and let not try to force anything. Not try to be like type A, but she says, I don't know if that will happen. I'm 40. I don't know what that means. I think that if you're a social butterfly, you can also be a strategic mastermind, she says. And in terms of underestimating her, she says her ability to read people. Unfortunately for her in her life, she just gets this feeling that somebody is going to be good to her or bad to her. And if it's hard, and that's hard for her to shake. So if you make a bad impression on Teddy Mellencamp, watch out. She will not easily let that go. She will hold the grudge. And she's just looking to, I don't know, be out there. She says she's excited not to be tied to her phone. I think I don't know. Like I think that would be hard for anybody these days, because we're so attached to our phones and whatever.
She's a fellow podcaster. She has her podcast called Teddy T Pod. Teddy T Pod.
Teddy T.
Teddy T.
Teddy T Pod.
Yes.
She is married. She's got 3 kids and a couple step kids, it says. Yeah. And she's looking. We'll see what to say about Teddy. And then as we mentioned, it was between Teddy and Cynthia for the final pick. So Cynthia Bailey Hill, a 54-year-old, another one of the members of Real Housewives. So the 2 Real Housewives, they go in the bottom of our draft here, Jaemeel. Amanda ultimately gets this assignment because of the way our draft order works. So if Cynthia wins, Amanda wins. So I don't know, like, why do you think she was left for last? And just so you know about our draft orders, the year that Tamar Braxton won, she was last in our draft and she won the whole season. So what we think really doesn't matter. But it won't
because of the quick turnaround time between the cast being announced and the show actually starting, there isn't that much time to kind of build a lot of information or insights about these different competitors, and quite frankly, a lot of these stars, you don't really have that much resources you can pull from it. You're reading their Wikipedia pages and you're making guesstimations about their performances in an environment that they're not necessarily used to. So why didn't I pick her? Quite frankly, she is older. Um the stuff that I've seen recently with her seemed that she might not necessarily jive with all the individuals there. Like Todrick, I could see that she has a connection. Same thing with the other housewife.
Well, like her and Teddy should. I just so Cynthia's from Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Teddy's from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So they're different shows, but they're in the same franchise, I guess.
Yeah, but there's two different. They both have different demographics. Let's just say the demographics are different.
Cynthia is actually from Alabama.
Yes. I've seen her. She's made appearances on like Wild and Out, and you know, she's done acting and various things. I just I just feel that there's going to be a lot of difficulties, that she's going to be faced. Interesting enough, I don't know if she's going to have a connection to Misha Tate, because in 2016 she was in Cupcake Wars. Maybe it's something we don't necessarily know about.
Was she battling Misha?
No, I doubt it. She was in the fourth Sharknado, though.
Are you familiar with a former New Jersey Nets player named Jason Williams?
Yes, Jason Williams, yes.
Yes, he also played for the 76ers. He proposed to her at a halftime show in 1996, and she rejected him. Rejected it. And said no.
Ouch.
Yeah, but is she currently married? I don't know.
I believe so.
Yeah, she's Mike Hill is her.
Yes.
Who's currently hosting something on the Black News Channel.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, Cynthia is our last overall pick. She's the bottom of the pile, but like we said, Tamar Braxton was too, and she won. So we're gonna see.
She's gonna win.
You don't think that we don't have another Tamar here?
I think the only way that she could win is if she has someone like opposition to her that is so unlikable that like she would be in a position to win.
And who's that going to be? Who's lining up to be like unless it's Teddy, unless her and Teddy will become enemies.
Let's say it's Todd Bridges and he becomes, you know, prissy and he rubs people the wrong way. You know, like Tamar won unanimously. Like it was no doubt that people did not like Ricky Williams.
Daryl's pointing out here that Barker. Who's Barker? Barker is engaged to Courtney, not Chloe.
It doesn't matter. They all suck. Okay, I don't really care. All right. He's married to one of the K's, and their sister K was married to Lamar. Doesn't matter. They absolutely hold no power in my life. They do not take up. Like they take up the minimalist amount of mind share, right?
Daryl just wants you to know he keeps track of these things.
Thanks, Daryl. Don't care.
He's got a diagram on a board at home. He knows. All right. So that's all 11 house guests. Maybe one of them's a fake. Who's the Scaramucci?
Scaramucci. It's Todd Bridges. What's he talking about?
I think it's Shanna Mokler. She's my pick for the fake house guest, if there has to be one. I don't know why.
Not the cupcake?
Well, just no, not. I don't think cupcake. Okay, so in the other thing with Celebrity Big Brother is it's been hard to keep the celebrities in the house. There's been a lot of celebrities who just want to walk out, who just want to quit the game. They get in there and they like just being restless and being sort of locked up and not having your phone. It maybe wears on them. They maybe are not as motivated to stay as maybe like an average non-famous person would be. So if Jaemeel, if you had to pick somebody
Todrick.
You say it's Todrick is going to be that person.
I knew you were going with that. Todrick is that person.
That would not be my pick. My pick is going to Lamar.
Really?
I think he is. I think just like with Meta World Peace, like
Meta World Peace is kind of a head case, though.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of classifying all professional athletes as sort of having lived in sort of celebrity land for most of their lives at this point. Like he's 42. He was drafted probably when he was 18, right? So he's been living the good life a long time.
But he was drafted in 1999 too.
So like 22 years ago, right? And he's 42, so more than half of his life's been, he's had the best life has to offer for 24/7 for a long time. Maybe not when he was in a coma, I guess, in like Nevada, but that's self-inflicted. So it's
Not self-inflicted.
I don't know. I just don't like. I think when you like the boredom, I think that the boredom of the house, I think weighs on people in different ways, especially as we become more and more connected to our technology. Since Big Brother 1, people had newspapers and cell phones and telephones and whatever, but now it's like we're so connected to that instant gratification. I post something on Instagram and it gets all these likes and I get that dopamine or whatever, right? Whoever you might be. And so when how many conversations can you have? Now, the only thing good about Celebrity Big Brother from that respect is that this is rapid fire. Like this whole thing is over. It starts on February 2nd and it is done on February 23rd. So it's the whole season is 21 days in total. Notwithstanding that I think they're already at least in sequester, and I think are already filming parts of the show already, at least. And whatever that comes to mean. So yeah, like maybe nobody quits this cast. Maybe they made an effort to really cast it to avoid that. I think they always try to, do that. And is this time are they just playing for themselves? Because it's saying like
they didn't really detail like their charities or anything like that.
I don't think they are playing for charity. I think they're playing for themselves.
Ooh, juicy.
It just says that the winner gets $250,000.
Get that money. That's what you need. Desperate celebrities who are in debt will pay off your debts and give you $250,000.
Right. Lamar's like, sign me up. I got a divorce to pay for. Wait, do I got the one right? I don't know.
He has kids. He's probably.
I'm afraid of Daryl correcting me on which Kardashian's marrying who.
Doesn't matter. They don't matter.
They don't matter. I agree. Yeah, so I'd say Lamar. I guess Chris Kattan. You could see like my back hurts, my spine hurts. I can't.
He can Christmas it to the end.
You can mango it to the end.
Yeah.
I just got the What Is Love. I got to pull that. I got to pull the 10-second version of What Is Love just for him.
Okay.
For the podcast.
So,
yeah. Anyway, so that's the whole cast. We're coming up on an hour and 22. Jaemeel, I think you had something else after this, so I don't want to keep you any longer than necessary. But yeah, that's I'm excited. I think that this is an interesting group. I think that there's nobody here I'm actively wanting to cheer against, which is so
fair
far.
Enough. Fair enough.
So will that hold true after the episodes? We'll see.
Only time will tell.
And as we mentioned, this is a rapid fire schedule. So we will be here on Wednesday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day, to talk about episode 1. And then episode 2 is the next night, is Thursday. And then Friday as well. There's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday episodes. And then the following week, it is Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Wow.
Okay.
Can we handle all this, Jaemeel? I don't know. I don't think we had to contend with this before. This is the first time we're actually podcasting about Celebrity Big Brother, so it's a whole new game. If you want to cut any of those down, we can maybe look at doing skipping some of those episodes. But
that's definitely a possibility.
Because in total, there's only going to be 15 episodes, but they're so jammed in together, and they're so like in week 3. There's going to be 6 nights or 5 nights that they're on. That's crazy. 5 nights of the week.
That's the Chris Kattan leaves week.
It's gonna be that week is gonna be Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work.
And Sunday.
That's
And the
not,
following Monday and the following Wednesday.
that's
So it's
not
almost
working.
on it. This is almost like trying to cover a soap opera,
Yes.
you know?
Mhm.
So we might have to cut that down, but we'll at least be here for the premiere on Wednesday to break that down and then take it from there. Thank you for being with us tonight and listening to us ramble on about this cast. We hope you will check out our podcast as the season progresses. Like, subscribe, make sure to check out all of our other stuff here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. We've talked about different seasons of Big Brother, both Canadian and American. Most recently, Big Brother season 23 and Big Brother Canada season 9. We'll be doing Big Brother Canada 10 in the spring and March when that comes out. We also talked about Survivor season 41 somewhat recently. Looking at the next Survivor 42 is coming up. So if you like reality TV shows, we talk about a bunch of those and not reality shows, including Marvel Cinematic Universe podcasts. Most recently, we talked about season 1 of Hawkeye from Disney Plus. We've been covering all the MCU installments since WandaVision came out. And we'll be looking ahead, I guess, to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is coming up in the near future.
And Moon Knight.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Moon Knight and a bunch of those different things as well. Plus,
Didn't you just recently do the Ozark?
Yeah, and then we do kind of just one-off TV shows. When Jeff and I feel like talking about a show, we will often create a podcast. And we just talked about the beginning of season 4 of Ozark. Jeff and I, the other Super Mader brother, was talking about that with me. We're excited about how this is kicked off and how that show is potentially going to end, as well as what am I missing?
Tiger King years ago.
Tiger King and
the serpent.
And we've talked about so many different things.
Yes.
So you can find all that in our playlist and in our descriptions here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. We hope you like what we do. Plus, we have 2 other channels. One is called Trivial Debates, and that's a show where we argue about movies, TV, sports in like a game show format. Each round, there's a point up for grabs. This next one is going to be next Sunday. We normally do it on the last Sunday of the month, which would have been today, but we posted it out for scheduling purposes. And we got Davin Skellhorn. He's actually my cousin. He's going to be hosting this next edition to start off season 5. I'll be competing, Chris Seymour and Adam Woodward. So check that out over on Trivial Debates next Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, February 6th. Plus, we also have Live Long in Podcast, a Star Trek themed channel where we talk about Star Trek all the time. Monday nights, we have our Star Trek Enterprise rewatch podcast. Have you ever heard of Star Trek Enterprise starring Scott Bakula as Captain Jonathan Archer? Well, you should check that out. And we talk about that every Monday night with Jody Simpson, Adam Woodward, and Kevin Millard as we go through all the episodes in order. Same thing on Tuesday nights, we do Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We've been doing that with Jeff Mader, Jaemeel Robinson over there as well, Kevin and Ashley Millard, and Davin Skellhorn, who joined along us, kind of like Worf. He kind of joined the station mid-season. So we are now into season 5 of Deep Space Nine, and we'll be talking about looking for Parmak in all the wrong places coming up this Tuesday. And Thursdays, we often talk about new Star Trek episodes because that's when they release them. Coming up this Thursday will be it's not the finale of season 1. It's kind of like the end of season 1, part 2, or part 2. I guess, which we call the Moral Star Part 2, is they're kind of like finishing up this chapter. There's going to be more seasons to Star Trek Prodigy later on this calendar year. And then when that show goes on hiatus, then Star Trek Discovery comes off of hiatus, as we've been covering their 4th season with Michael Chan and Adam Woodward. And then Star Trek Picard will follow after that, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds after that. So all kinds of new Star Trek coming out. You can check that out. Plus, we also do something called Star Trek Radio Theater, which is where we reenact these different properties and episodes and sometimes movies. And we like to do one movie a year. And we just did one, Star Trek First Contact, at the end of December. I played Picard. Jaemeel here, he was Beverly Crusher most notably, but he played a bunch of other roles too, including Fleet Admiral Hayes and Ensign Lynch and a bartender. So there's an edited remastered version on our Star Trek Live Long and Podcast YouTube channel. You should check that out along with our other catalog of stuff. And we also had as I mentioned, Davin Skellhorn with us. He's going to be he's from Locutors of Trek. He has his own Star Trek themed channel where he does different segments, trivia and debates and things like that. So if you like Star Trek, definitely check out his channel as well. I should throw up the brand while I'm here. Oh, I don't have it on this one, but I do have his X-Men, the animated series one, ready to go. And he does one on Tuesdays called X-Rated, the X-Men, the animated series rewatch series. You should check that out over on his channels as well. And I think that's it. Oh, and Eamon, my son Eamon, has a podcast called Let's Talk About Fighting Games, which you can find on Spotify or wherever you get your audio podcasts. They just put out one on January 9th. You should check it out. Anyway, that's it.
Yep.
And I think we'll close the book on tonight, and we'll be back on Wednesday to break down the premiere. All right. And what do you say, Julie Chen?
From outside the Big Brother house, I'm Julie Chen Moonves. Love one another. Good night.
We will, Julie. Okay, have a good one. Good night, everyone.